Hey, everybody. Good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are in the world. Welcome to the Pro Singer Success Collective. I'm Arden, and today we are going to be talking about how to get results. So this is something that I love to talk about because, I'm all about shifting things and transforming things so that we take powerful action and we get results. So, today we're going to talk about how to solve 90% of the reasons why you are not seeing the results that you want in your singing and in your career. And this is something that I think is so important because I can't tell you how many singers are suffering from doing all these things. They're doing their weekly lesson. They might be spending $300 an hour for a really prestigious teacher in New York or in LA. They're putting themselves out there for auditions. They're making recordings and they're doing all of this. They're in the hustle and they're not getting the results of all of that hard work and time and effort and money spent in the form of the thriving career and the impact that they can make with their voice. They're not seeing that. So today we're talking about the main things that I think are the culprit of why you guys don't see results, even though you're doing so much. And to do that, we're gonna play doctor for a second, not doctor like you're thinking. I'm just kidding. In this imaginary scenario, we're gonna play doctor. I'm the doctor and the patient is an imaginary singer and we're gonna call her Jane, okay? So Jane's problem is that she's not seeing the results she wants in her singing and in her career. And so Jane comes to me and she says, doctor, here's a list of all the things that are wrong. Okay, so let's see how many of you relate to these things. So go ahead, post in the comments, hit in the comments if, as I say these things that Jane says are wrong, if you suffer from them too. Okay, so first thing, Jane says, I psych myself out for auditions. Do you do that? Comment if you do. Hit me in the comments if you do, right? She says, I psych myself out for auditions. I'm stuck in my head and the nerves come and I don't deliver and I get anxiety before auditions. My performances go way better. I can totally nail it when I'm in performance, but there's something about the audition that my voice and my performance and my energy, it just doesn't show up to the potential of what I know I can do. And it's so frustrating because I just did it in my own practice. I nailed it. And now here I am in the audition and it's never as good. Do you experience that? Hit me in the comments. Jane says, I experience a lot of fear around certain parts of my voice. Does that happen to you also? Fear on the high notes, fear in the middle voice. If you're a soprano, if you're a high soprano and you don't feel like your middle voice is as round or as wonderful as those high notes, right? So there's a lot of insecurity or fear if you had to sing something that was very middle voicey. For you pop singers, could be a lot of fear around, high chest voice, what would be considered belting, right? Fear around transitioning registers, going from chest to head, or from head to falsetto. If you're a guy, it could be that too. So do you experience a lot of fear around certain parts of your voice? Hit me in the comments if you do. Jane feels like she cannot trust that the sound that's going to come out is going to be what she wants. She just doesn't trust that the sound's going to come out the way she wants. Do you relate? Right? Sometimes it's there for you and it's banging and it's exactly what you want to, your potential, you can do it. Sometimes it's there for you and other times it's not. And you have no idea when it's going to show up for you in that way and when it's not. And when it does, you really don't have any idea what you did any differently that time than the next time when you feel like you're doing all the same things, but it's not showing up in the same way. And so there's lots of insecurity around that, around not being able to trust what's going to come out is going to be the best and what you want. So do you experience that? Hit me in the comments if you do. Jane feels like she does not live up to a certain physical standard. Anybody else have this? Not skinny enough, not pretty enough, not tall enough, not edgy enough. Do you feel like you need to look a certain way to be successful in your industry? And do you feel like that's a standard that you can't live up to, don't want to live up to, wherever you land with that in your head? It makes you feel insecure. It feels like an issue. Let me know. Hit me in the comments if you feel that way. Here's another one. Jane feels like she hasn't found her own sound yet. I don't know what my sound is. I don't know what my unique sound is. Like, do you feel that way too? Do you experience that? Like, maybe it's a pretty sound, but it's not interesting or unique in any way. Do you fear your sound is that? Or do you feel like maybe you're really good at parroting other great singers? Like, you're a really good parrot, but when you need to sing with your own sound, like, you feel kind of lost and insecure, and you don't really know what your special sauce is, like what your unique sound is. So, okay, so Jane comes to me with all these issues, and some of you may feel like you relate to these issues yourself, and I'm the doctor, and so here's what I tell Jane. I say, good news, Jane. All these issues that you're struggling with, they're not really the problem. They are just symptoms. They're not the real problem. They're just symptoms. The real problem is that you have not made the shifts yet. And now Jane's going, what the heck are the shifts? Which is probably what you're thinking too. So let me explain the 5 shifts, okay? The 5 shifts are what solve 90% of the problems of why you are not seeing the results that you want in your singing, okay? The 5 shifts get rid of all the symptoms you're feeling that we just talked about, and they change the way we think and we relate to our voice, our talent, and our technique, and our awareness, so that we finally get results in our sound and in our career. So here's a quote that I love. Our own worst enemy cannot harm us as much as our own unwise thoughts. No one can help us as much as our own compassionate thoughts. Okay, that's Buddha. That's Buddha, okay? I'll say it again. Our own worst enemy cannot harm us as much as our unwise thoughts, and no one can help us as much as our own compassionate thoughts. So now here's the thing. Yes, Buddha said that, and Buddha was Buddha. And I know you might be thinking, well, you don't just all of a sudden change your thoughts. You know, your thoughts are results of years of conditioning from society, your parents, your community, religious beliefs, your education, right? But here's the thing. Listen to Buddha. Humans have an immense capacity to create our own suffering. You guys, we do that, okay? But in the same way, we can also have an immense capacity to create our own healing. If we are creating our own suffering, we can create our own healing. And last I checked, singers are humans too. So most of you have been creating your own suffering. All of these symptoms that we just talked about, not being able to nail it when it counts, voice being inconsistent, feeling like you're struggling and having fear around certain aspects of your range, not feeling like you know what your special sauce is, right? All these things that are preventing you from really making an impact with your sound. All of these symptoms, you guys, every single one. All of these symptoms are just your unwise thoughts that are interfering with and sabotaging your singing. And just as Buddha said, nobody and nothing else is going to help change that as much as you can, because only you can shift your own thinking. And here's the thing. I think that is ultimately empowering, because you guys are spending all this time and energy on all these outside things to try to fix the sound and the career to get it the way you want, you know, like, oh, if I only, you know, if I only get this producer, if I only have this marketing, if I only, you know, and it's like all of that stuff is, pardon me, it's lipstick on a pig. Don't go spend time and energy on money on a marketing campaign if you haven't figured out how to bust through these limiting beliefs and get the sound consistent and get the instrument and the body and the energy able to make that impact. Because without that, all that marketing is going to do nothing, right? So this, I think, is ultimately so empowering because it's telling you that you have the power. You have the power to change these things. It is within you to do that. So we don't need to, to look for all these external things that are just false senses of security, false sense of fixes at this point. Because until and unless we fix these thoughts, these things into what I call stinking thinking that are creating this melee of issues that Jane came to the doctor with and that you might be experiencing yourself. It doesn't matter what you do with your marketing. It doesn't matter what producer you have. It doesn't matter. You could say, well, I'm just not getting the right opportunities. Well, what are you doing with the opportunities that you have? If you're not nailing those, then let's not look at the ones in the future yet. We got to understand what's going on here. The stinking thinking that's preventing you from really showing up and embodying the technique, not sabotaging it, getting out of the tension, getting out of all of the things that create the fear, that create the inconsistency, and then we can look at all that other stuff, right? Nobody and nothing else is going to help change those unwise thoughts as much as you can, because only you can shift your thinking. So let's explore one of the 5 shifts. And these are the 5 shifts. These are the things that I do with singers who come in and do my intensive program. So I'm going to share one of these shifts with you because I think it's very powerful and it's very important, and it'll give you an idea as to, how this stuff works. So the first shift that we explore in the intensive program is this idea of radical self-care. Okay, so right now, your eyes are probably on everyone else and everything else. And how does that show up? That shows up as lots of compare and despair. You guys know what compare and despair is. When you're looking at everybody else's career, everybody else's life, and you're comparing yourself and you feel like you don't measure up, it makes you feel less than, or you're jealous, or you're lamenting, like, why does she always get that part? Why does this person's record do better than mine? All the compare and despair, right? When your eyes are on everybody else and everything else, you are fixated on this ever-rotating carousel of outside band-aids that are promising success, like I was talking about. If I just go to this school, if I just get this producer, if I just get this marketing, if I can just, and on and on and on, right? Fixating on other band-aids, like if I just study with this teacher, or maybe I'm singing the wrong rep. Maybe I'm in the wrong genre. Maybe I need to switch genres, or maybe switch the rep I'm singing. Or maybe if I just work with this producer, or if I can just get this manager, right? Or get on this tour, or open for this artist, then I'll finally make it. Twisting yourself into pretzels to sound a certain way, to look a certain way, be a certain way, whatever you perceive the industry wants in order to be successful. And it is killing you. Because when you do all these things, you lose sight of the truth of you. You are giving yourself away and your power and your uniqueness away piece by piece by piece. And that has a hugely negative effect on your ability to, it affects your ability to connect to your audience, because it has a hugely negative effect on your artistry and your energy and your essence. And without that, then your ability to connect to an audience is really negatively affected. So then auditions and performances don't land, recordings don't break through, and the career stays stuck. And so here's what I know. What I know is that the best and most successful singers are the ones who deeply move and connect to their audience. The most successful singers are the ones who make an impact on their audience. And so how can you ever expect to do that when the source of your connection has been given away, right? So through cultivating what I call radical self-care, you learn how to come back to yourself. You learn how to refill your cup, refill your source, and protect it like a freaking mama bear. That's where the radical part comes in, okay? Because when you've made the shift into practicing radical self-care, success follows, because you are cultivating on a daily basis the truth of who you are as an artist and a human. When you perform from that place, people are drawn to you. They cannot help it, and they cannot get enough. And then you better believe that the results of your auditions and your performances and your recordings will change big time. So this is just one example of one shift and how powerful it is in transforming singers. So now, I recognize that you might need some extra help, that you might want the whole big picture and not just one piece of this puzzle of transformation. And that's why I have opened up time on my calendar to share the same step-by-step strategy, all 5 shifts, the whole strategy that I use with the singers who are in my program. Because I want you to know that the way that you've been doing it, that's been keeping you stuck and preventing you from getting the results you want, right? There is another way. There's another way that in a dramatically shorter period of time allows singers to bust through these things, reconnect to themselves, and be able to make that impact, so that they're no longer suffering from the auditions not landing, the recordings not getting mainstream attention, all these things that are the symptoms of the problem, right? So that's why I've opened up some time on my calendar to share this stuff with you guys. And the call is totally free. You may have heard me talk about this before. I'm here to support you. So on the call, what we do is we get on the phone for about 45 minutes, so to an hour, and we're going to get some clarity on your current mindset around your singing, how it's affecting your technique, your sound, how it's affecting your ability to get the results you want and see the career thrive, and then how to use these 5 shifts to begin addressing the issues right away. And we do that so that you can eliminate all these symptoms that we just talked about, sing with freedom and joy and impact, and finally see the results of that in the form of the thriving career and the life that you get to have from it. And so this call, you guys, this call is not for new singers. And by new singers, I don't mean that you haven't sung before. I mean, you haven't studied before, okay? So in my book, if you haven't done, one-on-one lessons with a teacher for a good period of time, that's a level of experience that you need to go get, okay? Because if you don't have that, then all of the symptoms is just because there's insecurity, because you just don't have a basic level of just some really fundamental things that any voice teacher can give you that might actually make you feel a lot more secure and a lot more confident in a lot of these ways, okay? So if you have not studied one-on-one with a private teacher for a good period of time, this call's not for you yet. Go get that other training. I guarantee you a lot of the things that you're feeling will get solved. But if you have had a lot of professional expert one-on-one training, you have done the workshops, you have done programs, maybe you're a classical singer, you've done the young artist programs, you're a recording artist, you're out there, you're hustling, and you're not seeing the results of all of your effort in the form of the thriving career that you want, then book a call with me. This call is for you. We got to unpack and see what's going on. And, you may want my help in figuring all of that. And if you do, I'll show you what that looks like. Or I might recommend something else or someone else who can help you get the outcomes you want. So no matter what, you're getting a lot of clarity about what's stopping you from holding you back. And I'm going to share with you the exact strategy that I use with my singers to be able to get the outcomes that we want, the ones that you see, the singers celebrating in some of my other groups. So if you're curious, and like I said, it's totally free. Book a call today. If it's a fit, awesome. If it's not, that's okay too. I do this because I want you guys to understand that there's another way. Don't be a stranger if you're suffering from these things. Book a call with me and let's get you sorted. There's just no reason that you should have to feel this way one moment longer. Okay, everybody, have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your week. Think about radical self-care. Book a call if you want to get more clarity, and I will be back next week. Bye. Hey guys, thanks for tuning into today's episode.
If you want to subscribe, click the link right over there that says subscribe. And if you want to book a breakthrough session with me, which you absolutely should do, then click the link right over here that says book a call to schedule an appointment to speak with us. I'll see you on the next episode.